Hello. Today we will be sharing the story of a woman who was used by her husband to pay his gambling debt. The story is based on true events. Join us as our main character takes you through her poignant experience. Hello. I am Sarah. I am a 36 years old housewife. I've been married for 10 years. My husband was the first man in my life. He works as a taxi driver. In the past 2 years, he got into the habit of gambling. He would come home late and complain about how hard his work was. We barely made ends meet. We had been suffering extremely in the past 2 years as my husband had to pay off gambling debt. The taxi he was driving was in mortgage. The household and financial difficulties had ended intimacy between us. We would be together only once every 2 months, and that's when I asked for it. He was indifferent to me, and recently he wouldn't touch me at all. He was constantly preoccupied with his problems. One day he opened up to me and made me a shocking offer. He told me that he owed a lot of gambling money to someone and that he would lose his taxi if his debt was not paid. He couldn't pay his debts. My husband offered me to spend 2 hours with some man in exchange of our debts being paid. We are in a difficult situation, please, help me, he pleaded. I shouted at my husband, "Are you out of your mind? How can you offer something like this to me?" He explained again that we were in a tough situation, that soon we would not be able to pay the rent for the apartment or buy groceries to feed our children. Please help us. We have no other choice, he said as he shed tears. Think of our children, please accept this offer, he insisted and pledged not to gamble anymore. This is only a one-time thing. It won't happen again, he said. Reluctantly, I had to accept the offer to spend 2 hours with another man. My husband thanked me and told me that his acquaintance would visit our house at 1 o'clock tomorrow when the children would be at school. I couldn't sleep that night in apprehension of the things that would happen tomorrow. The next day, after the children left for school, my husband came home with his acquaintance. The man was about 40 years old, he was dark and had average height. Upon seeing me, he smiled and greeted me. I blushed out of anger. My husband took James to our bedroom. I was standing embarrassed. Then my husband asked me to enter the bedroom, reminding me that this would save our lives. He then pushed me to the door and left. I entered the room and saw James lying on the bed waiting for me. James laughed and said, "Don't be ashamed, baby, we will husband and wife for 2 hours." It was the first time I had seen another man in my bedroom besides my husband. He asked me to undress. I started taking off my clothes. James was naked. Eyes wide open, I looked at him. He was bigger than my husband. James rose to his feet and hugged me. I felt like I would faint. James said, "Don't be shy, imagine me as your husband." James started kissing me and asking me why I wasn't kissing him back. Then things developed very fast. James gently laid me on the bed. First I was unwilling to engage. But gradually I became aroused. I hadn't slept with my husband for a very long time. I desired James and asked him to continue. He made me feel like a woman. I hugged James and said, "You are my man, you are my husband." I smothered James in kisses. For the first time in my life I experienced womanhood to the fullest thanks to this stranger. Even the gambling debt was not on my mind anymore. James told me that thanks to the gambling debt, he had the best time of his life. He confessed that he didn't enjoy his wife as much as being with me. We exchanged phone numbers and got dressed. Then James left the house. I opened the window. There was the smell of sweat everywhere. James had made us both sweat. My husband returned home soon. He hugged me and said, "My wife, I am grateful to you. You saved our family. You saved the taxi from foreclosure." On that day, he wanted to sleep with me. I kicked him out of the bedroom. After a short while, James and I exchanged phone calls and we continued meeting in my house twice a week when my husband was at work.